Today we're going to be making a tier list of things to do in Kyoto, Japan. That way, if you're visiting, you'll have an idea of what's worth spending your time on. So the first thing we have here is Arashiyama Bamboo Forest. And this is like one of the most iconic attractions in Kyoto. You know, if you've ever seen the Instagram pictures with like the tall bamboo trees, this is where it's at. But to be totally honest with you, I don't think it's that worth it. I mean, it is pretty, don't get me wrong, but it is so crowded that I feel like you're mostly going there for the Instagram pics rather than the vibe itself. Anyhow, I'd have to give it like a solid B tier. It's worth visiting, but not mind-blowing per se. Okay, and then next on the list, we have Kinkakuji. So Kinkakuji is the golden temple in Kyoto, which is also one of the pretty iconic tourist sites. And this one, I would say, is definitely worth it, just because I feel like at least I personally haven't seen anything like it. The gold is actually really stunning in real life, and you know, it once again makes for great pictures, and the grounds nearby are really nice too, and it just feels like you've been transported back in time a little bit. So yeah, S tier, definitely worth visiting in my opinion. Okay, so the third one, Fushimi Inari Jinja, once again, an iconic tourist location. I'll give the caveat that I am rating this at night. So when we were like planning out our schedule, I thought it would be kind of nice to like go to the shrine at night, you know? I thought it would be atmospheric and kind of whimsical, but I'll be honest, it was kind of C tier for creepy. Like, okay, if I was alone, I definitely would have gotten spooked. But my sister was with me and she was getting spooked, so I would get spooked. And yeah, definitely C for creepy if you go at night. I feel like if you go at day, probably A tier, S tier kind of vibes. Okay, so the next thing on my list is probably something you haven't heard of, but was honestly one of my favorite things in my entire trip. So Japan has this kind of traditional roly-poly doll where like if you flick it, it'll actually wobble a bit and then stand back up. And we actually found this little workshop in Kyoto where they'll let you make your own custom roly-poly doll. And it actually wasn't even that expensive. I think it came out to be like 25 US dollars. And you know, you get to keep the souvenir and all the materials used, and you get to go through the class. So yeah, it was really fun. And it's also like a really great indoor activity in Kyoto because at least when we went, there was kind of a lot of rain. So any sort of indoor activity is greatly appreciated, and I would have to put this one in an S tier. Very, very fun. All right, and the next thing we have on our list is Aqua Fantasy Water Show. The only reason why we went to the Aqua Fantasy Water Show is because we were waiting for a bus at Kyoto Station. And also, the only reason why you should go see the Aqua Fantasy Water Show is if you already so happen to be waiting for a bus at Kyoto Station. It is definitely not worth it going out of your way to see. Definitely a D tier attraction. But I mean, hey, it is free, so you know, if you happen to be there while it's happening, go for it. All right, and next up we have a tea ceremony, which is one of those things that was like honestly pretty hyped up when I was doing research on what to do in Kyoto. And you know, tea ceremonies really fit in that like Kyoto traditional culture vibe, so it was really the type of thing that I was very excited to do. However, it wasn't that exciting in my opinion. The matcha was really good and the experience was quite something, but I feel like I had better experiences on my trip. It was also like kind of pricey, so unless if you're like a really big tea culture fanatic, I would say this is probably a skip for me. All right, and next up we've got Kimono Rentals, which I'll just say right away, S tier for sure. Like Kyoto is the perfect place to take cute kimono photos if you're into that. Like basically every single street feels picturesque, and then of course you've got the actual like picturesque shrines as well. So if you're gonna do a kimono rental, I think you should do it in Kyoto, not Tokyo. And overall, you know, if you like taking photos, it's just such a fun experience to get dressed up and get your hair done and feel like you're really immersing yourself in the culture. All right, so next up we've got Arashiyama Monkey Park. So if you like monkeys, you'll like the monkey park because guess what? There's a lot of monkeys. I was honestly really surprised by how many there were, and they're just like free ranging. It's kind of crazy. You'll see some of them like wrestle with each other, you know, the little babies and the mamas. Some of them will even get in actual fights, and there were a bunch of monkeys just like screaming at each other, which was kind of funny. Also, one fun thing is that you can actually buy food for the monkeys and feed them. And it's like really cheap. I think it was 100 yen when we went, which is like 75 cents. Overall, very cheap, very worth. I'd give it an A tier. Okay, and next up we've got Kyoto Station Mall. Now let me be honest with you, it's a pretty generic mall, and if you're coming to Kyoto to go to a pretty generic mall, maybe you should have just stayed in Tokyo. But you know, it is a nice indoor activity on a rainy day, so I'll give it a passing remark, C tier. So Nishiki Market, on the other hand, is very Kyoto-esque and is worth visiting in my opinion. It's got a lot of like cute street food stalls, like little souvenirs and stuff, but also plenty of modern shops too. There's even like a little shrine inside the market too, which is really cute and also worth visiting. Overall, I would give this an A tier, very, very worth visiting. Okay, and next up we have got Wagashi Making. So wagashi are traditional Japanese snacks that are usually made out of like mochi and red bean paste. Wagashi Making had its ups and downs. So it was really cool to learn about the craftsmanship that goes into each little snack, But the class that we took was taught fully in Japanese, and I didn't know what was going on at all. I think all of our wagashi turned out really awful. I would not want to eat the wagashi I made if I just looked at it. And also, to be honest, they just didn't really taste that good either. I don't know if it was our fault when we were making it, or if I just don't like the taste of wagashi that much in the first place, but yeah, it was an okay experience. I'd give it a B tier. Okay, next up we have the Arashiyama shopping area, which is honestly such a cute, little charming traditional street. They've got so many great snacks there, and not great snacks there too. I had this fantastic sakura and matcha ice cream, which was delicious. And then I had this cucumber on a stick, which was very strange. It was very salty, which I didn't expect. But anyhow, overall, this place is really fun. It does feel like you're in traditional Japan, and you get to try so many good foods. S tier. Alright, and next up we have Yasaka Shrine, which is a shrine located in the heart of Gion, one of Kyoto's most famous central areas. So just because of that, I feel like you're probably gonna walk by it anyways, and if you're gonna walk by it anyways, it's worth visiting. I think it's a pretty A-tier shrine. It's got beautiful designs, really nice grounds. The only thing is, it's a bit crowded, but it is what it is. So yeah, A-tier, worth visiting if you're in the area, which you almost certainly will be. Alright, and to round it all off, the last thing on the list is A5 Wagyu Beef, which, if you can't guess, has to go in the S tier. This stuff is absolutely delicious. It melts in your mouth. It's so good. It's just I don't know. I don't have the words to describe it. You have to try it yourself. There are no words to describe how good it is. S tier, S+ tier. It's so good. Anyhow, that's it for my tier list. I want to say this is mostly serious, but also mostly a joke, if that makes sense. Everything that I did in Kyoto was really fun. Okay, except maybe Aqua Fantasy. But overall, it was a great experience. Anyhow, if you like watching videos about fun things to do in Japan, you should check out my Hakone vlog, where I visited a hot springs town that's only an hour away from Tokyo. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel for more fun content. Hope to see you next time. Bye!